Good morning and welcome to our time of prayer and reflection for today. Now, this week we are, as I said yesterday, looking at a particularly important story in the Gospels, the point when both Mary and Joseph chose to say yes to God and this incredible plan that God had for their lives as they became parents to Jesus. Now, I wonder, how much do you actually know beyond the statues of Mary and Joseph as people? Take just a moment to discuss that in your form groups before we go any further. Okay, our gospel reading is taken from Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 to 25, and it says this. Now, the birth of Jesus the Messiah took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been engaged to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found to be pregnant from the Holy Spirit. Her husband Joseph, being a righteous man and unwilling to expose her to public disgrace, planned to divorce her quietly. But just when he had resolved to do this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet. Look, the virgin shall become pregnant and give birth to a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. When Joseph awoke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took her as his wife, but he had no marital relations with her until she had given birth to a son, and he named him Jesus. So, first of all, how much do you know about Mary? We don't know for sure how old Mary was, but at that time in history, it was perfectly normal to get married by about the age of 14 to 15. And considering that Mary was engaged to Joseph and they were planning to get married, she was probably about that age. Yep, pretty much the age that you are now. Can you imagine being faced with the choice to become the mother of God at your age? Then she would have been required to live with her parents until she got married, and it's almost certain that they would have chosen Joseph to be her husband, not her. Joseph would have been chosen because he would have been deemed to be a good match, usually for financial reasons. But even though we also don't know for sure how old Joseph was, it's entirely possible that he would have been quite a bit older than her. We know this partially because that was normal at the time, but also because in the later part of the gospel, there's plenty of mentions of Mary right throughout Jesus' life, but there are no more mentions of Joseph. So that suggests that Joseph might have died of potentially old age much sooner than Mary or indeed Jesus' death on the cross. Now, think back to this point when Mary and Joseph are engaged to be married, but the Bible very clearly says that they hadn't lived together yet, which is code for saying that they hadn't slept together. Now, if Mary went to Joseph to tell him that she was pregnant with a child that wasn't his, he would have had every right to publicly stone her to death, accusing her of being unfaithful to him. That's the way society was in those days. So not only did she have an awful lot of faith, but Joseph must have had an awful lot of faith as well. They knew that this decision not only risked Mary's reputation, but also Joseph's reputation, but it also risked her life. The important thing to remember is that looking beyond the statues that we still have, the pictures that we still have, Mary and Joseph were real people, and they were strong people who had incredible faith in God. And so, for that reason, they are both an example to us all. Okay, I'll see you soon.